Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dice Tower. My name is Z Garcia.
I'm Joey Evans.
And I'm Camilla.
Today we are taking a look at the expansion to Cascadia. This is called Landmarks. And this is going to give you a new module, Landmarks. It's also going to give you a lot more of the things in the original game, all in the service of bringing the game up to 6 players.
Yep.
The original game plays up to 4, and now you can play 5 or you can play 6. And the things in here are components to do that and a small variant to speed up gameplay, as well as, like I said, the landmarks stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what that stuff looks like in the game. We'll come on back. We'll tell you what we think of it. In the expansion, you are getting new habitat tiles. You're also getting new starter habitat tiles. You get some new wildlife tokens. You're going to mix those in with the game, the basic game tokens. And you can leave them in there, by the way, even if you're playing with fewer than the new total of players that can play, which is 6. So you can play up to 6 now, but you can leave these in the bag. It will not matter. New scoring pad over here, a few more of the nature tokens there. And then the main things that will change the game really are going to be new wildlife scoring cards. You have three new sets, E's, F's, and G's back here with a new way in which they'll score for all the different animals. And then you are going to get the landmark tokens here and the landmark scoring cards, which is the main thing that is different in the game. Of course, you can play with up to 6, all of that stuff, but the main twist is coming from these things right here. So the way this is going to work is you are going to, for each of the different types, you're going to shuffle these up, and you're going to put out a number equal to the number of players. So let's say I'm playing with 3 people. I'm going to put out 3 of these in all the different colors right here, and then I'm going to make sure that there are that many of those pieces. And you can see all of them out here as well as the rest in there. As players are playing, taking their habitat tiles, making groups, you are going to, if you make it to a group that has 5 or more, you may take one of these matching pieces and matching cards of that type and put them on that tile. So for example, let's say this one is my 5th wetland tile. I could take this, put it on there, and then take one of these scoring cards. I'll be able to do that once. The normal tile over here, the actual wildlife token that I take this turn, cannot go on that tile. It can go anywhere else I have available to me. It just can't go on the one that I'm choosing to put this on, which has to be the new one. And these are basically just giving you new scoring opportunities, as you can see here. So for example, if I take this one here, I'm going to score 1 victory point for every bear I have on a river. This one over here, combine the 2 largest wetland corridors when I'm scoring, great. 1 for each fox on the wetland tokens, and so on and so on. So you'll have lettered cards for these as well. And again, you put out a number of these equal to the number of players, so everybody can do each one time. And that's all the different tokens there. So that's the main idea there, the main twist. Everything else is largely the same. And now on the new scoring pad, you've got down here a line for that scoring there with the landmarks. So there you go. That's pretty much all there is to it. Let's go ahead and go back up top. All right, so there we go. That is Landmarks. I am a big fan of Cascadia. I really like the base game. I think it's a quick playing, fun, dynamic, exciting game with a lot of different variations. It's not a game I thought to myself, I really wish I could play this with 6.
Right.
But it's also one of the few games that you tell me, hey, you can now play with 6, and I don't immediately sort of revolt.
Right.
Right.
It's also one that, it's one I'm a huge fan of. It falls in a very good comfort zone for me of being puzzly, but not limiting.
Right.
You know, it's not like I don't have that angst that where I do sometimes where I can't get something to work.
Right.
So it really is a good game for me, or I think it's a very good game. But it's also one that I've never thought, I wish it had an expansion. So this expansion, them having an expansion kind of caught me off guard a little bit when I first heard about it. And I was like, what is that going to mean? Is it going to be more of the same? I'm up for that. But I couldn't really envision what it was going to be. So when I found out it was the 5 to 6 players, it felt very comfortable. Like, I could see that. I'm not revolting. That's cool. I could see it growing, giving you a little bit, being able to expand that player group. But at the same time, being able to speed the game up because it could slog down a lot of that 5 to 6.
Right. Yeah. So two of the things kind of go hand in hand, right? It's sort of like I said, 3 pillars. The 5 to 6 player pillar kind of does dovetail into the sped up gameplay one, you know, in which you, on your turn, take a turn, a normal like draft and play, and then in between your turn and the next turn, you have some set aside, basically, you know, 2 first combinations, and you can play one of them with everybody else doing their own thing. You can do that 5 times in the game.
Right.
It speeds it up. And those tokens are coming from the same pool you would be drafting from, so it's just meant to speed it up. Those 2 things work well together. You can play that mode with any player account, actually. You can just speed the game up, but obviously they intend for you to do it more with that higher player count. That's fine. It's a little bit of a twist. It's a little bit of it's a gimme, you know, but as far as shoving in ways to speed up a game with that many players that wasn't intended for that many players, this is probably one of the cleanest ways to do it.
Right, because I think more than just speeding the game up, it also gives you something else to think about when other players are taking their turn.
It's true.
So even if you're not using that opportunity to take an extra turn on someone else's turn in your own tableau, you're thinking about it and you are engaged in the game.
Right.
And I think that's what it does well.
More time to plan too, because you have your own private pool there, so it does your planning aspect. I don't think I would play the 5 or 6, but I do like the mode. I might do it at 4, you know, because it does speed the game up, and it kind of adds a little different element, more of a more strategic. I feel like you can be.
As far as the landmarks go, I think that mode also shines its best with more players.
I agree.
Because you get to see more of the little cards. I guess the negative way to say all of this is I just don't get this expansion for 4 or fewer people. Maybe 3 or fewer. How about that? For 4 people, okay.
Right.
But like if you mostly play Cascadia with 2 or 3, which is a perfectly valid way to play Cascadia, by the way, then I just don't think Cascadia Landmarks is for you.
Right.
You're going to see 2 special cards or 3. Maybe none of those really work well for you. There'll be a few points. They almost seem like more trouble than they're worth. Be like, all right, I made a group of 5 things. I take a mountain, and now I get 1 point per elk in the mountains. Look at that, 2 points. And maybe I'll take 1 more, and it'll be 3 points. It's just not.
That's where
there's no oomph to that. It's kind of boring. Now you're looking at 6 of these things, 1 per player, right? If you play with 6, you're looking at 6 of them. Yeah, one of those is going to be great. And you probably want to be first because that's the one you want. So it really is, every part of this expansion really is better for more. That's how I felt about it.
Landmarks for me weren't really, it was kind of a miss for me, only because it does, first of all, it takes up more table space. You know, that's a lot more table space you have out there.
It does.
And you also get locked up with that decision. Dropping the landmark is nice, but it does limit you on future turns. Some of those do, you know, as far as connections. And then also you replace an animal. So you're taking that. So really it's going to be a swing of 1 or 2 points. And it's like that swing, I think they look nice. It looks really nice. It looks good on the table when you place it there. But I don't know if that swing is worth it for me.
I say, I don't think the amount of points that you get from them in my plays was not worth changing my strategy in order to maximize that scoring.
Right.
You know, it wasn't worth it. It seems like it's trying to be like, hey, here's another way to strategize and think about your placement or really capitalize on that puzzle that you're building for 3 points. You know, and if you're looking at 100+ points games, it's like kind of negligible.
Right.
You know, and so it's more like, what I found myself with the landmarks is more like, which one suits, but you know, what I'm already doing, okay, fine, I'll take that one. Neither of them, then sure, I'll take the top one. You know, it was kind of not worth building a strategy around.
Right. No, I don't think I'll ever find myself at the point where I go, ooh, the one that gives me extra points for like, whatever, I don't know what for having, you know, bears in the forests. I'm definitely going to target
Right.
that. That's going to be my focus. And then I'll get this, then it's going to be worth 6 points. Like, that's not a thing to hang your hat on.
No, I agree.
A couple positives of the game, though, and is I think more of the same is always good. It does give you a whole nother way, or three, I think it's 3 different ways to score the animals, 3
Yes.
different sets of that.
Yes.
That's fantastic. You know, some
Yes.
variability again, to which you're already comfortable with. It comes with more tiles, and a lot of that is to expand it to that player count.
Right.
But it says specifically in the rule book that you can put it in with your base game and leave it in. You can
Yes.
still, if you're playing with 2, you still just take out the number of tiles that you don't need. You don't have to separate it out every time. And then if you're playing with landmarks, put it in. If you're not playing with it, take it out. No, you put it in, you forget about it, it's always in your game.
I really like that.
I like that a
too.
lot. And I think the tiles that they changed are interesting as well. So usually, you know, if you have a split tile, it's split. Now there's some that have 3 land types on it. Some of them have like a peninsula of a land type. It just adds different flavor and personality to the lands. You know, you're not going to see it every tile. It's not they overhauled them, but it's just like sprinkled with these little unique tiles that I think was really refreshing to the game.
Yeah.
I like that too. I like the animals and the 3 land tile, like you mentioned. That's really a nice connection point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
When
really
that
fun.
shows up. Yeah, 'cause I think there's only 2 before. I think the base one had 2.
All right, so some final thoughts and the score. Joey, where are you coming down at?
Final thoughts. I think this is, honestly, more Cascadia. I mean, I hate the namesake landmarks was probably the one that I was less excited about. I do like the additional stuff in there. If you like Cascadia, you know, more variability is good. So if you like it, I mean, I give it a 7. That's where I am with the base game. I like the base game. I don't love it. But if you do find yourself playing Cascadia a lot, this adds more cards, more variability, so there's no reason to not add it in there. It does not overcomplicate the game.
For me, it squeaks into a 7 if you specifically find yourself thinking, I love Cascadia at 4. I don't think I would mind Cascadia at 5 or at 6. If you play with 2 players regularly, if you play with 3 players regularly and you're perfectly happy with that, this is not one I recommend. I do not think you need this expansion for a lower player count. You're not really getting that much of interest. The Landmarks expansion, like if it was just that module, it would not get a 7.
Right.
If it was like a smaller module that was just Landmarks, I'd be like, it's okay. I would not go out of my way to recommend this. But it does bring the game up to 6, much better than a lot of games bring games up to, the expansions, I should say, bring games up to 6. A lot of those expansions suck. They're just like, they make the game longer, clunkier. If they try to speed up the game, it gets really messy.
Right.
They're like, oh yeah, now it's a simultaneous selection game. Wait, what?
Yeah.
That is not the game I liked. This manages to do it without stepping in it. So that's why it gets a 7.
Scoring this game was hard, and I feel like I went on a journey. You know, because if I'm looking at it, like you said, as landmarks, I'm not recommending it. You know, but as I realized and kind of came to terms of what this game is, it is for higher player counts or more variability, you know, more of the animals, ways to score the animals and the different types of tiles, personality to your island. For those 2 reasons, I would put this at a 7.5. I would recommend it. I love that you can just put it in your game, and if you're playing, you can add landmarks or not, but you're not having to change the base components that you're keeping together.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's all going to fit in the base box still. And so for that reason, it's like, yeah, absolutely. This is one I would recommend picking up if you're playing at higher player counts, or if you're not, if you do play regularly at 2 or 3 and just want to see some new land types, or you've scored the animals the same time. You've gone through all those achievements in the back of the book and you want some fresh achievements to go after. This expansion provides that for you.
Sure.
And so within that scope, I do recommend it. I think it's a good one.
All right, well, there you go. That is Cascadia Landmarks, everybody. That is a seal of approval from us here. Thanks very much for watching. My name is Z Garcia.
I'm Joe Evans.
And I'm Camilla.
That's going to do it. Go check out some wild foxes
Yes,
up in the
please.
mountains and the water.
Stuff.
Oh.